Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right. Well, welcome. I will try to project for those who are too shy to come up to the front. We're happy to have you here today. We're glad about this forum. The Rail Commission, we're a very small agency, but we have a very big agenda. And the way we get that done is we partner with others. That's the only way we get that done. So we want to give you that opportunity today so that you are prepared as possible to help be a part of the $1.6 billion program that we have coming over the next few years. And I was just saying a minute ago, every time we think we're there and that we'll just be focusing on construction, we get a new segment, new interested partners that say, hey, could you move your system 60 miles to the north? Or could you move it to a different spot in the Bay Area? So many, many pieces of work at all levels, conceptual planning all the way through, punch list construction will be coming our way. The projects, though, are mostly within or near the freight railroad right-of-way. So those of you who deal with that already, that brings some of its own complications and requirements. So especially today for small businesses that we're trying to, bring into the fold here on this effort, that's something to really learn because it's a key to the success of being a part of a team on a project like this. The Small Business Development Center has been fantastic in helping us be as prepared as possible to bring this event to you today. You couldn't find more committed advocates than Les Fong and Kenji. I'm not going to. Could you, Les? Okay, I just had the one syllable wrong. They made sure we had the venue today. They made sure you're going to get fed. They made sure you have panelists to share experiences about how to be successful. They have made sure that you are going to be able to get hooked up together, big firms, small firms, to be as successful as possible moving forward. I also want to thank our staff, Lawrence Farrell, Rob Hines, Autumn Gowan, Marcus Cook. Because it's hard to put something like this together and make sure you all get here, right? A lot of times it's a good idea, but getting your actual rear end in the seat is a testament to the work that the Small Business Development Center and our team did. So definitely thank you to them. And then sponsors, I'll give you one chance to go. Yay, Diversity Procure. Are you here? Yeah, there's a hand. Okay. Marble Bridge. Don't see a hand, but funding group, sorry. We need these at this stage. The Minority Business Development Agency Business Center, there we go, back. I saw their Success Capital, which they have a little flyer that says ineligible businesses. And so I was quickly like, oh, what does that mean? It's all the bad stuff that you're not supposed to do, but they've got a flyer so you can make sure you're not doing that. Okay, Lendistry. Did I say that right? Nobody here, but thank you for sponsoring. San Joaquin County WorkNet. Thank you. So thank you for really helping us make this happen. I'll get off of this stage so that Autumn Gowan, who's really the person you need to be talking to, and keep in touch with her. There's a certain point where she can't help you anymore, but while she can, definitely she and her team, Terry is here as well. So we're here to help. We're here to put teams together. We want successful bids on the project. We want the work to be spread around, and we need partners on this, and we want you part of the team. So a lot of us will be around later. Just grab us, talk to us, and if we don't know, we'll help figure out how to get you the answer. So again, thank you, and let me pass it to Autumn.
Thank you, Stacy. Welcome again, everybody. I echo all of the thanks that Stacy said. We're really excited to have this event today. I'm going to share a little bit about the agencies for those of you who haven't heard of us. I've already seen some familiar names and faces, so some of this might still be new information, and then talk briefly about the small business opportunities. So the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission started in 1998. I got it signed to speak louder. Sorry, I'm going to step back for a second. I know. And we're the governing body for the Altamont Corridor Express service. That is the ACE train runs from Stockton to San Jose, but right now we're in the middle of a massive expansion through the corridor through the state. We're also responsible for all of the planning, the development, the procurements, the contracts. We're responsible as an agency for that entire service. Most of our tracks, as Stacy said, are owned by, or that we run on, are owned by the Union Pacific, with a little bit owned by Caltrain. We also have a second agency that we're responsible for, and that is the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. They are the governing and administrating agency for the Amtrak San Joaquins, which currently runs from Oakland to Sacramento and Bakersfield, with planned expansion as well, which is what the projects will be going over today. And then we're the managing agency. We're responsible for the same things for the San Joaquin service as we are for the ACE service, the procurements, the contract, the administration, the staffing. So why we're here today, one of the goals is to utilize small businesses. I've become the DBE manager over the last 2 years, and so I've been able to be more engaged with small business and see where we could do better as an agency to reach out and connect with small businesses. And we've been trying to do that a little bit better by hosting more events like this, reaching out in different ways and getting the word out there about what opportunities are available to small businesses and in general. This is just a small example. It's not a full or inclusive list of the opportunities coming up for the projects that we'll be going over today. And this is the point. We can have the subs and the primes discuss what services you offer and let the primes know what you have to offer. Our goal today is to connect you together. The project managers are going to be going over about a dozen projects, and then there are construction projects. We look forward to sharing the information, and we'll take time at the end of all of the presentations for questions and answers. So as you're listening and you have any questions, write it down, and we'll take time at the end to review those. And thank you again for coming. And next, it's going to be Lauren.
Hello, I'm Lawrence Farrow. I'm the Director of Capital Projects for the Rail Commission. This is the schedule. Obviously, it's in your packet, so I will not go over it. But again, I'm sorry. Thank you. This is the schedule. It's in your packet. The highlight is phase 1 and phase 2 is before lunch. Phase 1 is the presentation that you're receiving now. Phase 2 is the teaming event, and phase 3 is the small business workshop for small businesses in the area. And this is in your packet. Want to highlight the project you see this. I wanted to emphasize a couple of things. One, this is not an all-inclusive list of all our projects. Obviously, we want to highlight certain projects just by the nature of the program. So this is not an all-inclusive list. The second thing I'd like to highlight is the information we provided you in this packet is as it stands today. It is a good faith effort to provide the contractors and the consultants the proper information to better serve the Rail Commission and the people of the city of Stockton and California. But it may change. Just be aware of that. It may change tomorrow or the day after, but this is a good faith effort. I'd like to talk about something that the executive director said. We are a small agency, so we do rely on commercial contractors to obviously build our bridges and projects, and we do rely on consultants to manage these projects. And obviously, there are industry standards for what consultants, percentage on a project. But so I would recommend during our teaming event where the primes and the small businesses and the subs focus on the construction, the consultants focus on teaming as well. Because if you just do the math, we are talking about $1 billion in construction, which yields to a lot of a big program for consultants as well. So again, with that, I will pass it over to the Stockton Diamond project manager, Mr. Robert Hines.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Hines, and I'm the project manager for the Stockton Diamond Grade Separation Project. Okay, the Stockton Diamond currently is located in the middle of the city of Stockton. The laser isn't going to show up on here, but it's the X right here, okay? It's the point where the BNSF rail line crosses with the Union Pacific rail line. There are between 50 and 70 freight trains and additional 12 to 20 passenger trains that navigate that intersection every day, making it the busiest intersection of its type in the nation. So what we propose to do is, as you can see in the concept sketch, is to build a flyover bridge on the bottom, which will elevate the Union Pacific Rail line over the BNSF. This bridge is going to be 4,200 feet long with a rating of over 40,000 tons. It will be in the range of in excess of $200 million, and the construction duration will be 3 years and 3 months by our estimates. And this is one of our top 3 biggest projects. As far as our schedule goes, we are putting together our final plans and specifications, and we hope to have this project go out for bid in December of this year, with notice to proceed in June of next year, for notice to proceed of construction. Let me keep in mind, this is an exceptionally challenging, exceptionally complex project. And we're talking about 14 phases of construction with multiple phases, multiple tasks. Key here is that the diamond must remain open. So while we're building the bridge, the diamond has to be open for rail traffic. And we expect that the bridge will come active within the first 2 years of that construction project. So there is a lot of other work going on in there that will continue on through that 3rd year. The railroads, BNSF and Union Pacific, are going to be doing their own track work as well. So that's another area of complexity to consider. There will be a lot of traffic reroute to consider, and also multiple utilities that own franchises in the railroad right-of-way. There will be a lot of coordination with them as well. Okay, what we're looking for are firms that have expertise not only in rail, but also in bridge, in traffic and signals, and in utilities. And the key takeaway from this is that this is an active railroad. This is an active railroad. The diamond must remain open during construction. Okay, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks, Rob. My name is Brian Panino. I'm the project manager for the multiple station projects. We're going to run through them real quick. Just to give you a preface, all of our construction dollars, if you will, that we're quoting on these slides, that's kind of like our all-in number. It's going to include not only our contractor packages, but also the packages we have with UP, right? Because UP is going to do some of their, UP is going to do all the signal work for the projects. And then louder than this? Oh my gosh, that's very loud. The people in the front, the people, I know, right? She says I'm too loud. Okay, so the construction dollars that we're talking about here are all in, and include the UP packages, both signal and their track work that they're going to do, as well as our contractor packages. So just keep that in mind as we give you that competitive range. So start with a series project, series station and layover facility. So a lot of our station projects, they include track work through the station. So not only just the station construction, but also track work itself, so that we're just having one package. This is the southern terminus of the Valley Rail segment. There's actually the layover location is actually past Ceres and Keys. There's probably around 6 miles of track that we're doing here. So all of our station projects, we're double tracking, okay, through the station to make sure that we have efficient operations flows. Ceres is one of the unique stations. There's no parking here. It's a center loaded platform with a pedestrian tunnel underneath the railroad. Obviously, there's track work, includes the layover facilities, some temporary facilities for the layover facility as well. This is a phased construction delivery, so our goal is to maybe get the layover facility in operation sooner rather than later as we continue to build the station itself. This is, obviously, you can see Highway 99 is right next to the station. We actually are building improvements underneath Caltrans Highway 99, so there's coordination that will need to be occurring with Caltrans, as well as our encroachment permit for work in that area. Our competitive range is around 80 million, includes UP work, and our duration is about 22 months. Right now, we're looking at final plan sometime in late 2024, October-ish, with a bid release around the same time. Contract award January 25, and we're expecting about a 2-year construction window for the station. Again, potential challenges: construction with Caltrans inside the Caltrans right-of-way. There's an adjacent Caltrans project that's going around about the same timeline just to the south of this, and obviously the phased track work as well. So moving on to the Modesto station, we're kind of going to work our way north as I do my presentation. So Ceres and then Modesto. This is actually connected to the Modesto Transit Center. It's adjacent to close at-grade crossings. It's in the downtown area itself. With Ceres and Modesto themselves, there's lots of fiber optic utility relocations that we're currently underway with, in addition to a Kinder Morgan line that's there as well. So we're trying to get all of that stuff prepped and ready to go, either moved or planned movements to work with our construction phasing. And there's a large segment between Modesto and Ceres that occurs at. So this is a little unique station. This is a double outside platform with pedestrian overcrossing. So we're actually, if you look at the graphic, we're spanning the UP right away where the tracks are at, and then landing our elevator cores on either side. And so a little different than Ceres. There's an extensive track work with this project. It actually got extended north by about 2.5 miles when we were in the planning phase. So I think there's about 5 or 6 miles of track with this project alone. We obviously have to work with our neighbors at the Modesto Transit Center to protect their ongoing operations during construction. So that'll be a key concern on the scope. The competitive range for this one is 82 million and the duration is 24 months as well. A couple of the key concerns and challenges, obviously the downtown construction. We are in the middle of Modesto with the station. There's multiple grade crossings around this area. Traffic in the area will be a concern. Protection of the fiber optic utilities and the relocations and the gas line are concerned, but we think we can mitigate those effectively. The final plans we're looking at towards the end of 24, with a bid release shortly after that, and then a contract award in November of 24, and then straight into construction with a 2-year window. Next one is the Manteca station. Manteca, this one is actually just a station project. It doesn't have any track work associated with it. The track work for this project is with the Lathrop Y, which I'll go on in a second. Like our Modesto station, the Manteca station is actually adjacent to the Manteca Transit Center as well. And we're actually integrating our station into that parking lot scheme as well. There's a potential to phase out this project as well. There's some monies that we would like to get moving. So we might just do the parking lot portion, which you see in the orange and the green, and then do the pedestrian overcrossing at a later time. This is a center-loaded platform with a pedestrian overcrossing. So, passengers will come to the parking lot side, actually go up an elevator or a stair, and then cross over the tracks and then drop down on the center-loaded platform. As I said, no specific track construction. There is a Kinder Morgan line here also, but we feel like we're not affecting it, so it'll just be a protect in place. The competitive range for this one is 25 million, and we're looking at a 22-month duration. So as I said, the potential challenges for this one is the phase construction, that the gas line protection, and then the protecting the transit operations facilities as well. Final plans, this one's actually moving along pretty well. We're looking at towards the spring of 24, which we'll do a bid document release as well, contract award in July, and then an NTP shortly after that, and then a 2-year construction as well. Lathrop Y and track extension. So this is located just north of the Manteca Transit System, and part of the track work runs through there. You can see the bottom right-hand corner, that's where the Manteca station is. We call this the hook. This is going to make a direct connection between the Fresno and the Oakland subdivisions for UP, so that they can more efficiently move the freight across basically to the bay. This includes a double cell box culvert at an SSGID facility. That we're going to probably split that out and put out the box cell culvert itself. There is a work window requirement for that box cell culvert because of the environmental impacts, and it needs to be in construction. There's like a work window, I think, between May and July or August. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is a work window requirement for that project. So we're going to get that double box cell culvert going. It's pretty long because the culvert's in the curve as well. So I want to say it's over 100 feet at least long. So look for that to come out sooner rather than later. This includes the track work through the Manteca station. So there's going to have to be coordination between those two contracts to some extent, and then coordination with SSGID. There is multiple crossings. There's 7 at-grade crossings included with this project. And right now we're looking at the competitive range around 36 million and a duration about 19 months. That's for the entire project, includes the box cell culvert as well. So final plans. This would be the track portion of the project, if you will, is around August of next year. Bid release in September. Contract award November, and then construction completion 7 of 26. I expect the double box cell culvert will come out probably February or January of this coming year. So just keep an eye out for that. North Lathrop Transfer Station. This is one of our key projects for the Valley Rail program. This is where we actually transfer passengers between the north-south alignments. So the ACE trains start from Stockton and they go over to San Jose. This new service expansion will start in Ceres, Turlock, or Merced and run north to Sacramento. This is where we will transfer passengers between that north train and then the westbound San Jose train. It's located at the Sharp Army Depot right now, which is undergoing, Lawrence, what do we call it? Decommissioning, if you will. So we have a little portion of this kind of carved out for us in the corner, right by Lathrop Road. This is a center loaded platform with a very long pedestrian overcrossing. You can see in this picture here, it's pretty good rendering of what it's going to look like because we're expanding a very large UP right of way. Very large parking lot, multimodal bus connection. So we're basically making everything here that we need in order to facilitate those transfers for the passengers. The competitive range for this one's around $30 million, and we're looking at a 2-year construction window roughly. We're looking for plans to be done. This is a little bit, we call this our 1B, our phase 1B. This project is a little bit behind the rest of them, but it's still right up there in the 2-year window. So we're looking at final plans around August of 25 with a contract award at the end of 25 and construction completion around November of 27. Again, potential challenges working with Sharp Army Depot. We don't know when that transfer of ownership is going to happen or the decommissioning. So we're not sure what the badging requirements will be for that project. That's one of them. There's probably going to be an SSJID culvert extension with this project as well that we're still working through. So like our double cell box culvert for the Lathrop Y, we might have a similar one, albeit smaller here as well. And then potential environmental permitting. So that same work window restriction that will happen with Lathrop Y will probably happen with that double cell box culvert as well. So kind of flipping from our north or our south segments, what we call Valley Rail South to Valley Rail North, and that's the Natoma Station and layover. This is our northern terminus. So much like Ceres is our southern terminus for day one, this is our northern terminus for day one. It has it's going to have a connection to the Sacramento International Airport via shuttle. And it's adjacent to some, which is Brasher's Auto Auction, basically a car wrecking or car auction location. So this scope, because it's an end terminus station, is a single side loaded platform. So there's no elevator core, there's no tunnel, but we're setting it up for the future that it could have that in the future if the service goes further north. There is track work and layover facilities associated with this as well, a parking lot. And then there's a single at-grade crossing. Competitive range for this one's $27 million. And we think because of the single side loaded platform, we're about 19 months in construction. So the schedule for this one is plans around the end of 25 with a bid release and then a contract award in April of 25, construction complete in December of 26. Potential challenges, obviously, we have a temporary construction easement with Brasher's during construction. We are taking some of that, proposing to take some of that property for our labor facilities. So there's going to be some coordination with Brasher's during that construction. And then there's a retaining wall in the flood protection area just to the south of the project area. So that will be a little bit of a, coordination in terms of environmental, making sure we're not impacting the environment there. So Elk Grove Station, a little behind. Elk Grove Station, this is a very small footprint station. Well, as you saw, like the North Lathrop Transfer Station has a lot of land. Elk Grove Station is actually pretty small. So, and it's in an industrial area in Elk Grove. There are no at-grade modifications to this. There is some track work associated with it, but they're all grade separated grade crossings right now. The scope is a center loaded platform with pedestrian overcrossing. It does have a small parking lot. And then there's going to be some coordination with the adjacent property owners during construction because we have to maintain access to a secondary emergency vehicle access to the storage facility that's there today. But pretty straightforward project. The competitive range we believe is around 36 million and we have a duration of 21 months. So as I mentioned, potential challenges, coordination with the adjacent property owners, and then maintaining that secondary access while we're in construction. Plans will be released sometime around October of 24 with a contract award January 25, construction complete November of 26. Lodi Station, kind of moving our way further south. Lodi Station, it's in the real part of Lodi. It's actually in the county. It's technically not actually in Lodi. It's adjacent to Highway 12, so there'll be some coordination with Caltrans there as well, because there'll be frontage improvements to Highway 12. Construction water will probably be a key here, only because there's no domestic water out here. We're actually going to have to put a well in for our facility to begin with. This is a center-loaded platform with a pedestrian tunnel. There's a park. This is what you're seeing here on the graphic. There's the white box to the bottom is going to be kept agricultural, and we're not purchasing that land, but everything up north, there's a phase 1 construction and a phase 2 construction. So the white box that's around the detention pond and the parking, that's going to be a phase 2 parking lot expansion. And then there's a very large detention basin. As I mentioned, there's a well, and unfortunately probably going to have to be a fire pump as well. So, and a tank. So we're looking into that as well currently. Our competitive range is somewhere around 35 million and 24 months construction. The potential challenges, as I mentioned, working with Caltrans on Highway 12, there's a PG&E gas line that is here. It's a high pressure gas line that we're going to have to relocate for construction because it impacts the station construction on the plaza side. And then there's some fiber optic utility relocations here as well. So a lot of utility concerns for this project. Final plans, we're looking at August of 25, a contract award around November of 25, construction complete in November of 27. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll do my best. Can you hear me, Sam? All right. So I'm Danielle Pena. I'm a project delivery manager on behalf of the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. So we're going to talk here today about the Midtown Station project. And this is just east of Sacramento, downtown Sacramento area. I'm working to shout. Sorry. Thank y'all. So the Midtown Station project is surrounded in a very dense environment. We have a lot of adjacent community, businesses, residential. It's in an existing quiet zone that will need to be navigated through the construction duration. We have 2 adjacent grade crossings. We have Q Street on the right of the screen, and we have 19th Street at the top. And so those are going to receive a lot of interconnected at-grade crossing modifications for traffic signals. Ultimately, we are putting in a station platform. It will be a single side platform to it. We are adding, as Brian was sharing on some of the other projects, we will be adding an additional track to the station. And so that will have a lot of interconnection opportunities between the track work interface and the Union Pacific work that will need to be done in tandem with one another with the contractor. And so currently there are about 6 round trips a day for UP, so about 12 total trains that come through this area that will need to be maintained through construction. So this will be an active track on-site element. We will need to maintain all UPRR requirements. Most of the station is built inside of UP's right-of-way. We have an adjacent plaza here on the left-hand side, and so that's going to be the primary access way from 19th Street that will be constructed to connect to the station. We ultimately have about 1,800 feet of track work, and the competitive range of this project is going to be in the neighborhood of $10 million for construction. And so the total duration right now is planned at 18 months for construction duration. So we're looking at bids being due December of 2024 and contract award in March of 2025 with construction complete in 2026. And so some of the major challenges that are going to need to be navigated here is being able to work within a very urban environment, being able to fit within the footprint here with all of the construction equipment and the features being proposed, the plaza, the existing utilities, interconnecting with both, you have light rail and you have freight rail in close proximity. And so you'll need to look at both aspects of the rail operation elements. And then also construction, we require close construction coordination with the Union Pacific and the contractor crews. And with that, Tim.
Man, that's a bad picture of me. Hi, I'm Tim Schmidt. I'm the project development for Del Paso siding, Phillips siding, the Madera station relocation, and the Fremont platform extensions. So jump in here. So I'm on the Del Paso. Again, it's the same rail corridor. We've got UP. You've got freight trains you're going to have to worry about, and the main line will have to stay in operation. So this is a combination of siding extension and siding rehabilitation. You've got about 8,000, 9,000 feet of new siding, and roughly 6,000 or so of track rehabilitation. So I'm special because I really wanted to point out parts. So I have animation. So this also crosses Arcade Creek. So the big thing is we've got the Arcade Creek floodgates on either side. And obviously, as Brian has said, we're not quite there yet, but there's going to be a work window for that Arcade Creek, probably, not during the wet season. So then, as I said, this is an extension plus a rehabilitation. So at this point, we're tying back in to the existing siding and, tying back into the existing siding, and we go from 20-foot track centers to 15, which is what the existing siding is. And there's the siding rehabilitation. So moving again north, we have several industries that are served off of this existing siding as well, and we're having to rehabilitate some of that within the UP right away. So again, that's going to be a coordination issue along there. And then lastly, just again, I'm trying to show again some of the complications of the track work here. And then we tie back in and up here to the north, right near Interstate Highway 80, which is an overcrossing. So again, we're looking plans and specs towards the end of next year. A pre-bid or bidding contract award in early 25. Construction completion. Again, the big challenges are going to be the Arcade Creek construction and the seasonal windows, floodgate work windows, and then just working with Union Pacific and getting those work windows in for Union Pacific. So, going too fast now. All right, so next I want to talk a little bit about the Phillips siding. Phillips is an existing siding, and it's just a rehab of the existing siding. So be a new turnout. So as everybody's kind of said, UP is going to do their own track work, but there will be a turnout pad that'll have to be built down at the south end here. We have 5 culvert locations that there'll be new culverts installed, jack and bore. And then the other thing is this track 160 will be raised. We've got a competitive range of between 6 to 10 million. And since this is just a rehab, it's a short duration, 6 months. Phillips siding is south of Elk Grove and north of Lodi. It's out in the middle of nowhere. So that's another thing is we have agricultural lands on both sides. So access for construction is going to be a key challenge for you guys as well. And I even said that, access for jack and bore. So this one, we're getting really, really close. We should have some final plans and specs early next year. The bid release in February, March, and NTP late next year, and then completion in 25. All right, so my next one is the Madera Station relocation. So this is, as Stacy and Autumn kind of told you, this is on the San Joaquins. So this is BNSF. It is relocating the existing Madera Station south to tie in with phase 1 of the high-speed rail. So it's just north of Avenue 12 in Madera. If you're familiar with the area. So really this is to improve access to riders. The existing Madera Station, there's no good access from 99 and other locations. So that's the real key here. So we have a detention pond, some initial parking, and again, if you kind of see the cyan or light blue is for future expansion. High-speed rail is a corridor is right down here. So we'll tie in with a high-speed rail. That'll be a transfer point once phase one is done. We're looking at a competitive range of 20 to 30 million in construction duration of about 15 months. So again, we're really close on this, working with BNSF. We hope to have our plans wrapped up at the end of this year, and released for construction early next year. And an NTP spring and construction in late 25. So again, this is within farmland. So again, access is going to be an issue through the almond farm there. Coordination with BNSF, and as Brian said, similar to Lodi, construction water is going to be an issue. We will have a well here as well. So getting that construction water, and then part of the parking lot is on high-speed rail property, so there'll be coordination with high-speed rail. We're working currently to get that agreement with high-speed rail, so you guys will just have to follow whatever that agreement is. So let's see, next, the platform extensions. So Fremont platform extension is in Fremont. It's an existing platform, 600 feet long. We're going to extend it 400 feet to be able to accommodate 10-car train sets. This is a little unique. It's also shared by the Capital Corridor and Amtrak service, as well as ACE, and Union Pacific runs trains there too. So like I said, it's 400-foot extension. We've got some new egress walkways, some retaining walls, the lighting, CCTV and PA, and then we're putting in some additional infrastructure for future passenger information display signs or PIDs. So we're looking, 4 to 6 million for this, and roughly 14 months in construction. So this one, we're looking to have plans and specs early next year, bid and contract award mid-summer of next year, and then construction, completion somewhere in October 25. So again, we've got coordination with the ACE trains, CCJPA, the Capital Corridor, as well as UP, and there'll be some coordination with Fremont, as the city of Fremont actually owns the parking and the station there. So we'll have to work with them for access for the construction. So then real quick, I just want to talk about the other platform extensions that are part of the overall ACE program. You've got Lathrop, Matika, Tracy, Vasco, Livermore, and Pleasanton. We're looking at final plans and specs, again, early spring of 24, and NTP in summer of 24. These are the competitive range of 1.5 to 3 million. And just like all the others, rail services has to be continuous, commuter rail safety, the passenger safety at these platforms, as well as the coordination with Union Pacific Railroad. All right, with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Williamson.
Good morning. I'm Josh Williamson. I am the project manager on the WP parking lot, the WP Depot parking lot rehabilitation, also known as the Cabral Station expansion. And I have a pleasure of introducing this project to you today. This project is a previous use site. It was formerly the Western Pacific Passenger Depot, and now has it's about approximately 1.38 acres. On site is a existing parking lot that is in need of rehabilitation, as it no longer meets code or serves the purposes of the San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission. The project has three main components: rehabilitation of the existing parking lot, including creation of 144 on-site spaces, including upgrades for ADA and electric vehicles charging. We will also be constructing a new building in the Mission Revival style of architecture, which mimics the previous previous building there for the Western Pacific. And lastly, we'll have off-site improvements along 3 sides of the frontage, including upgrades for on-street parking, new curb and gutter, landscaping, and street lights, and those improvements will be brought up to meet current city standards. Our competitive range on this project is $9 million to $10 million, and the estimated construction duration is 12 months. Our schedule is almost to the point where we're ready to send out the invitations for bid. As you can see here, we hope to have the final PS&E targeted to be completed very soon, and the issue for bids around the end of October of this year. Target for construction start is the beginning of next year. Some potential challenges are, because this is an infill project in the city of Stockton, you may have some city traffic to deal with. We're adjacent to an active Robert J. Cabral train station, passenger station, and it's a previous use site as mentioned, and so there could be existing utilities. This project sets up nicely for a civil contractor as a prime, with perhaps a MEP or building complementary subcontractor, and or vice versa. Thank you for letting me present. I'll turn it back over to Autumn Gibb.
Thank you, Josh. That's the end of the project presentation, so we want to give everybody a hand. Thank you for speaking. And to project. Okay. So I want to thank everybody again for speaking up and giving you guys all of this information on our upcoming projects. Now that you know what projects are coming up, how do you do business with the Rail Commission or the JPA? So we run all of our formal solicitations, which all of these projects will fall under, via Planet Bids. So to see that information, you would be a registered vendor with Planet Bids. We have information at our table, how to do that. We have flyers that walk you through the process on how to access that website and how to get registered. Planet Bids, if you don't know, will house all of our solicitations, but we'll also give you alerts for anything similar under your labor codes, your next codes that you choose, and what services you provide. It allows you to submit your proposals. It tells you the due dates. It does the questions and answers. It monitors all of that in one place. And it's free for vendors. So that's the major benefit for that area too. With Planet Bids, we also have to do our regular notices. We will post on our website. We post on the news, in the newspaper. Local Chamber of Commerce's will utilize the Small Business Development Center if we can. Any of the DBE lists, industry lists, and then we do reach out to other small businesses that are on our vendor list, but it all points them back to Planet Bids. And so in addition to being registered with Planet Bids to be a vendor with the Rail Commission and the JPA, we do need to have proof of being able to do business in California. Any purchases over $25,000, which all of these contracts will have to be under SAM.gov. You have to make sure you're not debarred with the federal government. And then any necessary expertise or certification, which will be listed in the solicitation documents. It will be required to be submitted with your bids. And then vendors can reach out to procurements at acerail.com for any questions. And we're going to go ahead and open it for questions. We're going to start with project specific questions, and the project managers will come up and answer. Lawrence is going to facilitate that part, and then I will come back to do small businesses or registering or any of those questions after we cover some of the projects items.
So if anyone has any questions, please just stand up, just state what question you have on what project, and then that respective project manager will come forward. Pretty simple. So we are ahead of schedule, which is nice actually. So again, yes, ma'am, which project do you have? So yes, the answer to that question is currently the agency runs a design bid build model. That is 100% correct. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Well, can we follow up on that? It's not because we don't want to. It's because in the constrained railroad environment where we're on someone else's property with someone else's rules, the flexibility that you get from these alternative methods is sort of moot when the railroad is this way. It's only this way in this sequence and at this kind of cost schedule. So we could have projects in the future where we're not as constrained within the post railroad right of way, which we would consider
Yeah.
alternative methods.
Thank you, ma'am. And one thing, just to add to what the executive director said, because we're in a class 1 right of way, it is very important that everybody understands the rules of that railroad as they bid the process. And I just want to emphasize that so much. I mean, if anybody asks me what the number one issue is when contractors bid, is they do not fully understand the rules of the class 1 railroad. And it's important because even in our, we have the order of precedence. And obviously, as I say this, I'm looking in my mind with many, many experiences, just like a Rolodex. We say we follow the rules of the class 1 railroad. The specs follow the class 1 railroad. All submittals, even if they're pre-approved, have to go through the class 1 railroad. So again, we have people, big picture here, come to Caltrans. Generally, I want to speak for Caltrans, but you go to a Caltrans pre-approved plant, that is the approval, right? Not always, but a lot of times. It's not the case. So again, I would just say exactly what the executive director said, dovetail it a little bit. Please understand the rules of the class 1 railroad that we're operating under, because we have very, very little leeway. Because again, we're dealing with a train like the Stockton Diamond that's 2 miles long, could be going 70 miles an hour and weighs 40,000 tons. That is just a tremendous amount of energy, mass, and potential risk that we deal with. So again, but yes, adding your question, design bid build, for the reason the executive director said, actually just safety and risk. Does anyone else have any questions? Yes, sir.
Are all the projects funded, and can you share where the funding is from?
I defer that to procurement. Yes, funded, yes.
And where are they funded from?
Yeah, funded from,
They have a program manager
Yes.
sign that.
okay,
Brian,
okay, program, so.
So the question is-
So I would say, yes, think through all the projects, make sure. Yes, all of these projects are fully funded. The funding, there's lots of sources, right? So federal, state, local, SB 132, which is SB1. which is, we call SB 132, right? So the gas tax is funding some of these projects. The TIRSIP program is funding some of these projects, Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Improvement Program. There is federal money on some of these projects, not all of them, but some of them are federalized. That would be noted in the bid documents if it's federalized, because that will obviously change your work requirements and bid requirements. Then there's some state funding. There's SRA, State Rail Assistance. ESEP. There's probably, air quality, CMAQ, congestion management and air quality, Alameda County money. There's probably, 20 sources across this program. Yeah. Did I answer your question, or you're looking for more specific? Yeah. Sure. So right now, obviously, the Stockton Diamond, huge project, mega project, that's federally funded. That's going to be a federalized project. North Lathrop Transfer Station is a federalized project. Okay. Yeah. Manteca Transit, the parking lot portion is federalized. That small little project. Trying to think of anything else on our list. I think that's it. Good question. Thank you.
Yes. Do we have any? Thank you. So projects are fully funded from a variety of funding streams, and they'll be clearly annotated in the bid documents. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Your question.
A couple of the project managers mentioned that the signals and the track work are going to be performed by UP. That all the projects?
So I will repeat the question so people can hear, and then I'll defer to Brian. So the question was, is some of the project managers as some of the project managers said that the signals and other work may be done or will be done by Union Pacific. And the question was, is that for all the projects?
So generally speaking, and we have to get the construction and maintenance agreements drafted with the host railroad. That's usually where the terms come out for construction. Generally speaking, the host railroad will for sure do all their cut-ins, their switch construction and cut-ins. Okay. Because of the labor requirements for mainline work. They will for sure do all of their signal work. BN, I think BN's the same. I know for sure UP. I'm pretty sure BN's the same way. So they're going to do all their signal work, and they're going to hire out their contractors. You know, UP uses subcontractors also to do some of their civil work as well. So that's for sure. What we have the opportunity to build on our side would be like our station tracks potentially, if we're owning them, our layover tracks, if we're owning them, and anything that isn't mainline construction or a mainline track, I believe they'll allow us to construct. So we can, like if there's, for the Stockton Diamond, right, there's 14 phases. I believe the way it's going to be set up, and we still have to work out the terms, is, you know, as long as it's not connected to the railroad, then we can build it. And then they're going to do the cut-ins. UP has said that they're going to supply the rail for all of our projects. That's something that's new. They just changed. They're going to bring in long strings. They don't want to be welding a bunch of rail. They want to bring in ribbon rail. So again, that will all be defined in the bid documents very clearly who's doing what scope. But from a general standpoint, that's where we're at. So that's what I'm saying. What they've let us do in the past is because it's not connected, it's not under a labor requirement. So they'll let us build it. For sure, we're going to do everything to sub-ballast, right? We'll do all the grading, all the drainage, utilities, structure, everything. And then when it comes to ballast and track, what they've let us do in the past is we build it, and then they'll do the cut-ins. Yeah. Those were easy. Come on.
Two for it. Build the budgets for each project, and what are you carrying for escalation?
What? Can I jump?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so the question was when.
It has been a wild ride.
So the question is, when do we build the budgets and what are we carrying for escalation? I'll tell you, the escalation is internal and we can't answer that. Cannot answer that, but I will say the budgets, we go through an annual budget revalidation. So when do we build the budgets? I would say the last annual budget revalidation was last December. And as the year goes on, we look at the projects and we reevaluate. Now, I will say there were some projects that are obviously due to the construction escalation, we had to get more money. So acknowledge what you're saying, but we are actively monitoring that. Now, I will say to what Mr. Panino said, all the projects you see before you, they're fully funded. And we do have contingency, and we have taken into account, and this is the last thing I say about this, we have taken into account the time duration of each project, and understanding as the project goes through its life cycle, costs gets more. So given a 4-year project, we did assume cost increased during the 4 years, right? Because we will essentially run out of money in 3 years. So the answer, I think I'm answering your question with as much information as I can provide.
Sure.
We understand the environment we're in. We understand costs escalate, and we understand, but to compensate for that, we do a budget reevaluation at least twice a year. Is there anything you'd like to add?
You got
Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
What do you anticipate the DD goal be?
That's her.
And Autumn, do we do that on both federalized and non-federalized contracts? So while it's not required, we encourage it on even our state contracts or state funded contracts.
Yes, sir. So the question is, given the amount of construction, if I may paraphrase, the question is given the amount of construction work and the time frame and the other route projects, have we done an analysis just for contractor capacity? So we have done, the answer to that is we've done, I would say, a moderate analysis. Obviously, what we've done is we tried to phase these projects where they don't immediately step on each other. To answer that, we are looking at potential bid packages where some of them are grouped, right? You know, if you have two platforms, I'm just using this for an example, made up example, but if you have two platforms that are really close to each other and we have two projects that are very similar in activity, it would make sense to at least consider grouping that. So what we're doing is we're looking at grouping packages for efficiency. We're looking at staggering out schedules where possible. But another answer to your question is we're having these events, right? So by giving you the exact date, not exact date, a very good estimate of the date of when these projects are, that allows the contractors and the consultants to synchronize their work, right? We understand that if we pop $100 million or a $50 million or a $30 million project on you and say, bid it out in the next 30 days, that is very challenging. But now everyone knows when these projects are, the plus or minus, I'd say, you know, well, you have the month and the quarter. So we are doing things to actively mitigate that risk.
What do you think about the market? Where do you go? What do you think?
I think it's challenging. I do. I mean, you know, we're all fishing in the same. I'm talking from a consultant standpoint, not necessarily a practice standpoint, but you know, we're all fishing in the same market, the same challenge. And I know that there's a move to further professionalize, you know, the deployment qualifications and experience of the individuals that are deployed. But there's a finite market, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And I wonder whether we're going to be finding some time, or whether there's time to find some kind of training and encouragement of that side of things to increase that.
Well, it's interesting because there are a lot of others in the professional engineering and the other project development disciplines that are working on workforce. So we're not going to try to get in that lane, but the area we found is on the operator side. Operators, rolling stock maintainers, that workforce is really diminishing. The old generational people go work for the railroad, that has calmed down. So we are starting a operational workforce development program to get the next generation of engineers, conductors, maintainers. But I think you're right. I'm really worried about as high-speed rail especially gets closer to Merced and starts that work, that on the construction side, we're going to be seeing some pinch points. But then on the project development side, right, they're going to have another $2 billion program with its final engineering work. And then we're in a perpetual state of engineering because of the next projects that are coming. You know, people want to go to Chico, people want to go to Union City. And so we're amplifying that problem. So we're appealing to the industry. You know, we get consultants bid, not construction, but the consultants will bid on our work. You see the same names over and over. And we're starting to have to ask, okay, how much time can you actually spend on this when I know you're on this one, this one, this one, and this one? And so we're having to get much more focused on what that capability is. And we may get to a screeching halt, right? I mean, at some point, you got Caltrain and just all these other things going on. So I think that's very, very valid, but somewhat troubling because we don't have an answer. But if you get one, right, let me know.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So going on, I think what I am back there. Are all the projects designed already, or are you under contract for the design, or with the phases of that, are you looking to put out contract for some of the design as well?
So all of these projects are all in design right now and have design contracts active. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Small business group hasn't asked one gentleman. Can we put up the slide that Autumn had the disciplines that are including but not limited to? It was way back at the beginning. Oh, Tim.
Very cool though.
Very cool. Okay. So remembering this is including but not limited to, are there any questions related to that type of application? About where we're going? Any questions about what that is? I realize small business is like, and you'll do a lot of your work in the.
Okay, good. I don't know if this is gonna come up later in the day, but I'm interested as a civil engineer, how we can be notified of upcoming design solicitations.
Okay, Autumn will take care of you there.
So the best way to be notified is to be on Planet Bids. So what we do is we have a small department, we're growing, but what we try to do is within 2 to 3 weeks of knowing when we're going to release an RFP, we put it on Planet Bids in the planning phase. So you have an idea that that's coming up. We try not to leave it in planning phase for too long, but that does mean that we're drafting it, we're getting ready to prep it and put it out together. That Planet Bids is the best way. We also have public board meetings. So if there's any kind of updates, those are available on the website as well. The agendas at least are. So if there's something that's coming up that piques your interest, that's another avenue to find out information.
Don't you have a section of the website?
Yeah, the contract opportunities connects. Yeah, so we do. Thank you, both of you. Yeah, so on our website, we have a contract opportunities page. I should have provided a screenshot, but has what's upcoming. We go through that once a month and then we update it. But really to get like an actual alert that's directly to you, Planet Bids is your best option.
Yes, sir.
So the on-call contracts don't cover all of the projects. And I mean, that's the truth. So they don't cover all of the projects. I think some of these are newer. And in addition, some of them have new teams. So we do go through a formal solicitation process for that anyways, for the mini RFPs. But I mean, we have many more projects coming up that weren't even remotely on that list.
Right. So what we just released a couple months ago was Series Turlock Double Track and Turlock Station and Track Extension. That wasn't on the on-call. So that went out for a full RFP. So similar projects like Stacy mentioned, we'll have some planning efforts for what are we calling it? Butte, Chico, Northern Valley Rail North Prime number 2, whatever. So north of Natomas, we'll have some Union City stuff potentially.
So that project that Brian the question is what available design opportunities for people that may not be able to hear? And Brian highlighted that series to Turlock. I just want to emphasize that construction estimate of that project is well over $100 million. Well over $100 million. So the reason I bring that up is that had nothing to do with the on-calls, and that was a pretty big design, right? It takes a lot. If you're going to build something that's $100 million, that design is a lot of money too. So as we mentioned, these projects, we don't want anyone to think that the majority of the design is already done, because that's not the case. We have many, many significant design projects, and the one he highlighted was, again, a $100 million construction project. So the design is going to be very, very, very significant. Thank you.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Mitzi, right?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, because we have a couple of biggies coming up that, like, to your point about being ready. And some of this looks like, oh gosh, that's in late 24, early 25. But being able to be resource ready for that period of time, knowing you're bidding on all kinds of other things, is critical. So there's a rail flyover again, like the Stockton Diamond. There will be one in Merced. That's probably a $300 million, probably by the time we get there, more. That's in the environmental stage right now, but that's planned to roll right into design when that is done in about a year. So you've got that. The High Speed Rail Authority has asked the Rail Commission to design and build the Madera High Speed Rail Station. So that work is going to get underway fairly soon, in addition to.
And the Sacramento Community College.
Right. So we have, a few infill stations that are coming, but a couple more mega projects that will be rolling into design as well. And that wasn't contemplated on the short list we did years ago. So that carried us through the projects we knew at the time. But since then, we've gotten probably 15 additional projects, 3 of which are mega.
And the reason is, again, just for time, right? We wanted to highlight the projects that are going to be available in the next 2 years. But we have many, many projects coming. We actually have another big building coming, a huge building on the rail yard. So again, the answer to your question is we have many, many design projects coming for a significant amount of funding and money. Do we have any other questions? Yes, sir.
What's your approach to construction services oversight, and when will you be letting out those opportunities?
So, I'm ready to take that. You're giving my, okay, well, I'll take it then. Construction, I said,
I can take it. I can take it. That's fine. Yeah. So what we're planning on doing is doing the construction management, oversight contracts, probably a couple months ahead of the, she always tells me I'm too loud. So a couple months ahead of the construction, we're starting to do those now. We're starting to prep the RFPs for those. So those will come out pretty soon as well. We'd like to get the construction management company on board sooner rather than later. And we're also, so we're going to put out a RFP very soon for 2 seconded positions for a construction coordinator and a chief of construction. So we're going to bring that talent to the program. And then hopefully those people will be managing the REs, if you will. And then, so Lathrop Y, CM already went out, the box culvert part. But so I would look, as Autumn mentioned, the contract opportunities, right? So that the CMs will be listed there as well. And we'll be procuring those ahead of the construction packages by a couple months at least, if not more.
Yeah, we're trying to create, I mean, in-house is probably a loose word, but through the seconded positions, we're trying to create a focal point so that the CMs, REs don't have to reach out to somebody who's got 19 other hats to wear. You've got a focused person who's focused just on coordination with the railroads or just on coordination with the site conditions. So from a capacity standpoint, we're trying to build that so that it's at least within our roof, maybe not the house itself, but we'll have that full time on our site to help manage that. Because I just think, especially in the railroad environment, having to cherry pick different people on staff to try to get an answer in the construction realm is no good. So we're going to make sure that's very focused given. I mean, we could have 40 projects going at once throughout the 190, actually it's about 180 miles when you take all the different segments. So that's a lot. We need somebody very focused to keep that running.
Thank you. Any other questions from the team, from the group? Okay. Going once? Oh, yes, ma'am.
She wins.
No, please. We're way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
We do. What? I'm sorry. Jump in.
Okay. Sure, I'll repeat it. I can repeat it. So the question is how have we been able to meet our goal? Basically, have we been meeting our goal? We do. It is a little bit more difficult. All of our work is on not all of it. The majority of our work is on the right of way of the railroads. They like to use their own workforce. But what we do is when it's a construction project like this is why we have these meetings, because this is where we're going to get our small businesses and our DVEs. I believe I just ran our report, and I think last year we exceeded it. I think we were at 11% last year. And then our DBE, I've had to do one shortfall analysis in 2 years. And so most of the time we do meet that goal. And I will say that our agency, even if it wasn't a requirement, I think that our values would already show that we want to be local. We want to do business with small businesses. So even if it wasn't a requirement, it would truly be something that this agency would try to do as part of its value structure of how we run things.
Any other questions from Autumn or the Parts Delivery team? Okay, I'll say it again, going once, going twice. Okay, so if no one has any other questions, if no one has any other questions, this will conclude this portion of the event. Now, obviously, we're way ahead of schedule, so looking at the schedule that everyone has, actually, one. So we're way ahead of schedule. So what I like to do is start the teaming event. And essentially, it's a teaming event. I'm sure most people have been to it. Just walk around. We have certain contractors that are requested a table. You can see them on the side. Obviously, they're going to be primed because that was they requested a table. Consultants, feel free to team with other consultants given the projects you have in front of you and the expected schedule for what we provided. With that, the next hard time, you can see, we're gonna try to have lunch, move it up a little bit because right now we're ending late. We'll try to have lunch at 11:45 or 12, but basically, the next hard time would be lunch at between 11:45 and 12. And then the Small Business Development Center, the Small Business Development Seminar after lunch. But I understand, people have to leave. I would ask, if you're not staying for the Small Business Development Seminar, please stay around for the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes to allow for a proper teaming event. So I'm going to repeat myself for clarity. Please stay for the next 30 to 45 minutes to allow for a proper teaming event. We understand people have schedules, but we're way ahead of schedule, so it should not be an inconvenience. With that.
Okay.
Lisa?
It feels like an awkward seventh grade dance. If you're a prime and you don't have a table, could I ask that you maybe put prime on your name tag? Because the small businesses are not going to know immediately who you are. Oh, it does. Okay, sorry. All right. Everybody does have that. Who's that?
I just didn't want to jump into this. I thought I'd introduce, and that's why I'm the director of Small Business Development Center. Why is the Small Business Development Center and you know, well, a lot of what we do is we like small businesses go through certification, right? We give them how to run a business, how to become solicitor. They ask us to join because we provide free budget. And actually, it's because the budget we provide. Except capital and one village and businesses get solicitation ready, but we connect them to the procurement process, right? I also happen to be on the board of our regional planning district, and for at least the last 14 years, we've looked at the states advocate for funding our area, and it's fantastic that we got $1.2 billion to help our system in California. So what we're trying to do is to solve the development center, is try to keep as much of this money what we can get. It's important to us to help the small businesses meet the primes, build and our second portion actually has one little bunch from Harvard Plots. Big shop. Access and capital. Because what we're finding is a major stumble. Okay. What we could that's we see is change. Help you and get active. So anyway, yeah, please stick around because
Okay, thank you, Les. With that, please, mingle and,